Yeah. So back to this critical thinking framework, there's intellectual standards as well. And those come with clarity, accuracy, precision, relevance, depth, breadth, logic, significance, and fairness, right? So you'll adapt a framework where you include the elements of thought and the intellectual standards and use it as a way to combat and increase your level of critical thinking. And there's different ways that you can use different things that you could do that help this happen. So one of the things that you do to combat it is to pause before reacting. And I see you doing this all the time. You're actually like very good about this. It says the first step in avoiding manipulation is slowing down your emotional response. So take time to make a decision of how you make your next move.
Yep. That's something to be absolutely mindful of, that, does not get lost when emotions get involved. I absolutely think more about being mindful and think a lot more about what I say before I speak on a normal basis than when I would in a situation that it's like a debate. You know what I mean? It all depends on the debate too, though. Like if I'm debating with my lady, that thought process is like out.
Yeah, it goes straight on the emotional side.
Yes.
Like if it's 1 to 100 and 100 is intellectual, and the opposite is emotion, is like shoot.
Yeah.
So another way to combat it is to seek evidence. Ask, what is the source? Can I verify it? And this doesn't necessarily mean that you need to, if you're talking with somebody, this is in your head, if you ask deeper questions of it, and a lot of people naturally do all these things, when you do different jobs, like you're an attorney, you make sure that you're thinking legally based on what you already know and your brain is trained, right? And you can ask probing questions. So who benefits from this narrative, right? That's what people are doing all the time with all the political based stuff.
And you better do that when somebody wants money from you.
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about is,
Anthony didn't silence his phone. But yeah. Asking probing questions is definitely something that is a necessity. And if that's essentially the first part of the sniff test, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think everybody naturally does this.
We don't even want to get to the point that we see something. Like we don't want to see anything yet. Like we don't want to. You understand where I'm coming from? We don't want to get to the point that we see something that we're like, oh no, let's talk about this first. And see, the older people, that's why they got the patience and they be so smart. They just like, no. Oh, let's just talk about this for a little longer.
Yeah, but they've learned to be patient in making decisions, and they call that being wise, in a lot of ways. But then also, the older people are the ones that have all the media bias.
Yeah, but that is a big part of that is so those people that we're talking about when they were kids, they used to go to somebody's house, like a whole bunch of people from their house and the neighbor, everybody would go to somebody's house to watch a TV because not everyone had televisions, right? TV was invented in their lifetime.
True.
Let's think about basics.
Yeah. Back to the basics.
Yeah,
man.
people. TV was barely invented in their lifetime. Before, literally before TV, they were only listening to the radio, dude. Like that's the only thing they had for news. There was no hey, there was like long distance calling was thought to be so expensive that like people barely wanted to do it. There was no like calling your brother in Florida.
Yeah.
Like daily to tap in. There was no daily tapping in with nobody. Like, bruh, people were writing letters, bruh. I remember writing letters when I was a kid.
I still do that today.
Yeah, I don't write letters, bro. I'm calling. If not,
Yeah.
I'm pulling up. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, the ability, that's the benefit of technology. The benefit of technology is the speed of implementation of which we can reach out and communicate to people.
Yeah. So I would say hearing about the technology and the benefit of reaching out to people and being interconnected has made it a very global, interconnected world. It also is something to be said that, in a very short amount of time, have we went from as a human race from being connected with each other has gone extreme very fast.
100%.
And being in a day like today where now you have aspects of artificial intelligence and the ability that even the connection you may have may not even be a real human being.
All that stuff scares those older people, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like any of the possibility of being frauded online, and like the internet is like the internet, right? It's like, oh my God, right?
Yeah.
Like, remember, they didn't have TVs, bro, when they were born.
Yeah.
And then all that news that they had, it was influenced by the government. You know what I mean? I mean, look, in World War II, Russia was our ally. After that, big bad Russia in America, that's what it was, right? So everybody was taught to fear Russia and like all this, like, ooh. And like that's what they grew up in. So like they trust the news.
Yeah.
They think the news only tells the truth.
Well, it's hard to know what to trust, right? And that's where, this critical thinking really comes in, to think about these probing questions. Who benefits from the narrative? Who could be harmed by it? So who does it not benefit? Who's the attack on? What facts are there? What may be missing? And what's the counterpoint to what this is suggesting, right? Because there's always some kind of counterpoint, because your brain wants to, fill in the blanks without the proof. It naturally wants to fill in the blanks. So a lot of the messaging, the different things we see on TV, even things people say will, your brain will naturally fill in other blanks to try to figure it out.
The brain likes the path of least resistance.
Yeah, exactly.
The brain don't want to break itself if it could just get from A to B.
Yeah, coming in and thinking about truth, right? And is it objective or subjective? And objective information is based on verifiable facts and evidence, so that's objective, while subjective information is based on personal opinions, feelings, or interpretation.
I said suggestive earlier when I meant subjective. Okay.
Yeah,
subjective.
Subjective. Yeah. And I think that people are genuinely in search of truth.
I think everyone does both.
Think objectively and subjectively?
I think everyone does both based on what it is that they're talking about and their attachment to it. It's all on, again, like not everyone interprets everything the same way, right? So if you interpret something one way and I interpret something another way, who's right and who's wrong?
Neither's, yeah.
You see where I'm coming from? So that's why the truth itself is objective.
Yeah.
Because
the
it all
truth
depends on who you ask.
based on their
Perspective. Yeah, because your truth might not be mine.
Yeah. That's kind of deep.
Yeah, and like I've had discussions about this many times with people. People will have many arguments for this, but it's just like, dude,
Is this considered a philosophical
it
conversation?
would be considered a philosophical conversation.
Okay,
yes.
I'm learning these big words, and a lot of times
Philosophy is opinion based.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it'd be subjective.
Yes. Yes. Like I always say, politics is based on what? Ideals. It's based on something that how you think something should be, not how something is.
Yeah,
So all politics is based on ideals. All of it. Because not everyone feels the same about it. Not everyone's truth is the same. So while people will be getting mad about some people having their turn,
yeah,
we all gonna have our turn. We all have had our turn at some point in time. And it's all a part of the what? The balance. Like, yeah, people are crazy because they get so outside of the basic school of thought. Because this is fundamentals we're talking about here.
yeah. So this goes back to at the very beginning when we're speaking
The basic basics.
yeah, of critical thinking and
which-
being the net that kind of helps you make sure the crazy stays out in a way.
And again, not everybody has the ability. Hold on, let me get behind my mic. Not everybody has the ability again, right? Like not everybody can critical think, bruh. It's not for everybody. And see, there's some other people though that are conscious people that are in high places that'll tell you critical thinking is a bad thing.
Yeah, that it's a bad thing.
Yeah. Because critical thinking breaks down into other critical areas of other types of situations that people don't want to talk about.
Yeah,
And that's, my friend, when it becomes woke. You get me?
I actually don't. I don't
Critical
because I'm starting to get lost a little bit, and I think this happens to a lot of people, where you start going down this road, and at some point, a lot of people go, "Whoa, dude, I just want to just live," and
But there's some people that just want the truth, and now you see where the divide is.
yeah, because their truth is subjective to their.
But everybody thinks that there's a truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where we have a problem.
So essentially, not everything is red or blue
That's right. Not everything is the hard truth.
or black or white or whatever.
Sometimes I try not to speak too definitively about certain things. I am always open to learning that I'm wrong. I hope that you can tell me that I'm wrong and I can learn something new today. You'll be giving me something that I didn't have when I woke up.
Yeah, I think all this critical thinking stuff is something that it seems like, just like anything else, something that you need to nurture. Just like your health, or you've been in the martial arts world for almost 40 years, right? And it's something that you've nurtured over time. And the same thing goes for your critical thinking. And if it's something that you haven't nurtured in a while, it doesn't mean that you can't.
Yeah, but it is like that though. It's like a muscle, bro.
That's what I'm saying. You got to get that muscle back working.
If you don't work it, then when you pull up the first time, you're gonna be a little with it. You know what I mean? And you're gonna have to work it. You're gonna have to work it back in, get it back going, because it's like Imagine being a person that has the ability to have these types of conversations, and you get put from one place to another place where you're surrounded by people that don't have that ability for a long period of time. And then you go back. When you go back, everybody's going to be like, damn, you changed. Something a little different. You got to tap back in. You got to tap back in the source and like get your game back up. You know what I mean? You got to be around those people, though. You got to surround yourself with like minds in order to be able to do that, or else you might be dumbed down by the people that surround you.
Yeah, for me, I've gone back to something that I used to do a lot, and it's have a morning ritual and an evening ritual, and just a way I start myself and a way I finish myself, knowing that in doing this every day, it's like, what do they call it? Your circadian rhythm, and how with the moon, the star, the sun, and your body. With every time you sleep, you awake, and it's getting it aligned in a way that will allow every other piece to come together.
Yeah. That's why I wake up right before my alarm every day.
Yeah. Yeah. How many of our listeners do that too? I mean, come on, man. That's got to be the thing. I used to do it all the time. Now, not as much, and that's why I realized I need to go back.
Routine is key.
To keeping up that structure. And doing that also supports my level of critical thinking. Because having that gives me the baseline of what is, grounded.
100%.